Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the darkest, most terrifying true stories out there. Tonight, we're uncovering the legend of the Bell Witch, a story so horrifying that it left an entire family tormented, and even caught the attention of a US president. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our chilling tales. Now, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for one of the scariest true hauntings in American history. This is The Curse of the Bell Witch. Chapter 1. The unseen terror begins. In the early 1800s, deep in the rural town of Adams, Tennessee, the Bell family lived a quiet life on their farm. John Bell, the patriarch, was a respected man in the community. He lived peacefully with his wife, Lucy, and their children. That was until strange things began to happen, things no one could explain. It started innocently enough. The family would hear faint knocking on their wooden walls at night. The sound was soft at first, like the tapping of fingers. But it grew louder with each passing evening, as if something, or someone, was outside trying to get in. No matter how many times John investigated, he found nothing out of place. The farm was calm by day, but by night, it became a breeding ground for terror. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, they heard a chilling sound. It was a disembodied voice, a woman's voice, whispering just outside their window. Startled, John rushed outside, but the air was empty, and the voice stopped. Yet, deep in his gut, he knew that something terrible had begun. As the days went on, the Bell family would soon learn that they were no longer alone in their home. An invisible force had taken residence, and it was only getting stronger. But before we proceed with the video, check out a message from my friend.
Are you tired of managing multiple online accounts insecurely? With GoLogin, you create unique digital identities for each one. Protect your accounts and maintain your privacy by using different devices and locations with just one click. Organize your accounts with folders, statuses, and notes all in one dashboard, gaining control and clarity. And if you need help, rely on 24/7 support, always ready to assist you. Don't waste time. Come find out how GoLogin can transform the way you browse the internet. Click the link in the description and get started now. GoLogin, the best browser for multi-accounting.
Chapter 2. The Witch Makes Herself Known. As the strange occurrences increased, the Bell children began to complain of something tugging at their bed sheets at night. They would wake to the sensation of their blankets being ripped from them, and worse, they started to feel cold, bony hands grabbing at their limbs. Betsy Bell, the youngest daughter, seemed to suffer the most. She woke with bruises on her arms and face, claiming that something unseen had slapped and scratched her in the dark. The mysterious force began to take on a voice of its own. The family would hear eerie laughter, singing, and chanting throughout the house, all coming from thin air. The voice, which was unmistakably female, taunted the family, especially Betsy. It cursed at her, mocked her, and claimed it would never leave her alone. Desperate for answers, John Bell called upon local priests and neighbors to help rid the house of the malevolent presence. But no matter what they did, whether it was prayer or trying to communicate with the entity, the spirit remained, and it began to identify itself as the Bell Witch. The entity claimed to be a spirit that had been wronged by the family and was here for revenge. It knew things about the family no one else could possibly know, reciting events and conversations that had happened in private. Terrified, the family reached out to anyone who could help. News spread quickly, and soon, the Bell Witch became the talk of the entire town. Chapter 3. The haunting intensifies. The Bell Witch's presence in the house grew more violent with each passing month. She would shake the walls, throw objects, and slam doors throughout the night. On several occasions, the family saw furniture move on its own, with chairs tipping over or violently crashing across the room. But it was the physical attacks that were the most terrifying. Betsy would be slapped, pinched, and beaten until she collapsed in tears. John Bell, once a strong and proud man, began to fall ill. His face grew pale, and his strength slowly drained from him. The Bell Witch seemed to take pleasure in his suffering, often whispering cruel taunts in his ear while he lay in bed. She would laugh as John writhed in pain, telling him that his days were numbered. One night, the witch's voice became more menacing than ever. As the family gathered in the parlor, they heard her say, "John Bell, I will kill you." The chilling declaration left the family paralyzed with fear. From that moment on, John's health deteriorated rapidly. Doctors could not explain his sickness, and no medicine seemed to help. What made this haunting even more terrifying was that outsiders also began to experience the witch's wrath. Visitors to the Bell home reported being slapped, pushed, or hearing the same eerie voice cursing and threatening them. It became clear that the witch wasn't just tormenting the family, she had become a force that no one could control. Chapter 4. The President's Encounter. Word of the Bell Witch spread far and wide, even reaching the ears of General Andrew Jackson, who would later become the President of the United States. Intrigued by the rumors of this terrifying haunting, Jackson decided to visit the Bell farm himself. Along with a small group of soldiers, Jackson arrived one evening, determined to either debunk or confirm the legend of the Bell Witch. As soon as Jackson and his men reached the Bell property, their carriage stopped abruptly, as if an invisible force was holding it in place. The horses refused to move, and the wheels were stuck in the dirt, though nothing blocked their path. According to the legend, Jackson exclaimed, "By the Eternal, this is the witch." Suddenly, a disembodied voice echoed through the air, mocking Jackson and his men. That night, they experienced a series of strange occurrences, the sounds of footsteps, whispers, and laughter, even though no one else was present. Jackson's men were reportedly slapped, pinched, and some claimed they were even thrown to the ground by an unseen force. Jackson, deeply disturbed by the encounter, left the Bell property the next morning, saying, "I'd rather face the entire British Army than spend another night with the Bell Witch." Chapter 5. The Death of John Bell. As the haunting grew worse, John Bell's health continued to decline. His once strong frame had withered away, and he was now bedridden, barely able to move. The Bell Witch, however, showed no mercy. Night after night, she taunted him, whispering in his ear that his death was near. One morning, in December of 1820, John Bell was found dead in his bed. His family was devastated, but the witch's torment wasn't over. As the family gathered around John's body, the Bell Witch let out a loud, triumphant laugh. "I told you I would kill him," she said. Next to John's bed was a mysterious vial of liquid. No one in the family knew where it had come from, but when the liquid was tested on a nearby cat, the animal immediately died. The witch claimed responsibility for John's death, and her chilling proclamation left the town in shock. The Bell Witch's mission seemed complete, but her presence wasn't entirely gone. For years after John's death, the Bell family continued to hear her voice echoing through their home. while the attacks subsided, the sense of dread never left the Bell farm. Chapter 6. The Witch's Legacy. The Bell Witch's haunting didn't end with John Bell's death. She continued to plague the family, particularly Betsy, for years after. Betsy, deeply traumatized, eventually broke off her engagement, as the witch had warned her to do. Though the physical attacks became less frequent, the witch's presence was still felt. Strange noises, voices, and the eerie feeling of being watched haunted the Bell family long after John's passing. Even today, the Bell Witch legend lives on, with many claiming that her spirit still roams the area near the old Bell farm. The Bell Witch case remains one of the most infamous and well-documented hauntings in American history. Was the Bell family cursed by an evil spirit seeking revenge? Or was this a case of mass hysteria that spiraled out of control? Whatever the truth may be, the story of the Bell Witch continues to terrify those who dare to delve into its dark past. And that's the terrifying story of the Bell Witch. What do you think? Was this just a legend, or did an evil spirit really torment the Bell family? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next spine-tingling tale. Sleep well, if you can.